Santako is about to convince me to put out my most controversial YouTube video ever. Power Mom says I love controversy. I'm just saying, we skipped words on stream at the beginning. Do you want to do words? Oh, Pokemon Direct. Hold on. Okay, let me know if you want to do words on stream, and I'm going to talk about the Pokemon Direct. I really enjoyed it. There are a couple of things that I want to talk about for that. The character customization is super cool. I feel like Pokemon has really been stepping up their game with the customization options that you have for your character. And it looks like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are going to be amazing on that front. Like several different kinds of eyebrows and then like selfie mode. That's really cool. Like that's a win. That's a huge win. And then the picnicking and like the subway game, the subway mini game, like that's also just cool. I think a lot of people just don't really appreciate those like side mini games, the curry making and the sandwiches that we're gonna get in this. But I think it really helps develop Pokemon as a fuller franchise, because in the universe of Pokemon trainers and Pokemon battlers are just one facet of that. And it gives a lot more depth to the universe, which I think is really cool. Picnicking with your Pokemon, making sandwiches, like that's awesome. Like let's do that for sure. I saw a lot of people knocking the TM machine. The TM machine. I think that's a cool feature. To have materials drop from battles and then you can go craft TMs. I think it gives it a really good RPG feel to it, and it takes away some of that. I'm gonna say takes away some of that weird nonsense, because some of the TMs are infinitely usable. The TRs, like in Sword and Shield, those are limited uses, and you can buy them and you can like find them in different places, and it's an okay system. It's a decent system. I think that craftable TMs are going to be a cool system. I'm looking forward to that. There's one other thing that I wanted to talk about as far as the new Pokemon trailer is concerned. It was confirmed on this trailer. They just outright said like any Pokemon can have any Tera type. So there are 18 types. There are potential Tera types for everything, and people are unnecessarily panicking about it, both from a competitive standpoint and from a logistical like breeding standpoint. And I'm going to talk about those two things, and then I think I'm done yapping at you. The reason that I think it's not as big a deal competitively is the core issue. You are facing a Pokemon and you don't know what they're going to do. Like they have this Terastallized feature. They could potentially slap you with some weird type. That sort of thing is just how Pokemon has always worked. There are Pokemon that have very deep move pools, but especially Pokemon like Incineroar, Pokemon like Grimmsnarl, Dragapult, these Pokemon that can do so many different things. And there's always that risk of your opponent doing something really like off meta and getting in a sneaky win that way. I'm not worried about Tera types for that reason. Just because every Pokemon has every option doesn't mean that every option is going to be good. People are valuing the surprise too much. They're like, oh, your opponent can surprise you, so it's bad. I just don't think that's really the case. Like, you could be surprisingly awful. No one's gonna take their Tyranitar and do Terastallized normal. That's not gonna happen. Like, they keep their own weakness and they get a garbage stab move. Like, there's no point. I think for competitive Pokemon, each Pokemon that's like being used is gonna have a type. It's gonna have like a couple of types that it wants to be. No different than moves, no different than Dynamaxes or items. Are there tons of choices? Yes. Can you be surprised by those choices? Absolutely. Does that mean everything is equally good and you're gonna see lots of different things? Not necessarily. I think we'll see. So one of the things that I think is interesting about Tera typing is defensive Dynamaxing was not really a thing in Sword and Shield. You Dynamax for the purpose of bringing the pain. And I think that Terastallizing for defensive purposes is going to be more common. I am hopeful that the balance is strike, that it'll be dynamic enough to be clever and cool, but not so dynamic that everyone just needs to cry and panic about it. The other reason that I say that people are panicking about Tera types, and I don't think they need to, is logistically, because people are talking about this idea that, oh, if you have 18 different Tera types for your Pokemon that could have a different Tera type, it's going to make hunting for those Pokemon for competitive teams a total nightmare. I don't think that's going to be the case, because every Pokemon game that we've gotten, like every main series Pokemon game that we've gotten so far, has given us quality of life improvements for, I'm going to say, fixing Pokemon, for making Pokemon the way that we want. We already have items and methodologies to change EVs, IVs, movesets. Heck, in Sword and Shield, we can graft on egg moves. Like, after they've already been bred. Like, you can teach egg moves after the fact. You can change natures. You can change ability. Like, you can get hidden abilities. They give us so many tools to modify Pokemon the exact way that we need them to be, that I severely doubt that we will not have some sort of tool in Scarlet and Violet to do something similar. I also believe that Tera typing will be inherited through breeding. Sintaka says, Dynamax just helps every bad Pokemon be offensive, which I think is better for the game. You could turn support Mons into offensive weapons. I think that's super lost in Spike Muth and may be like that in Scarlet and Violet. I agree with that point. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's okay for some Pokemon that are support Pokemon to just stay support Pokemon. But I think just the nature of a game like Pokemon, like you have, we're breaking 1,000, or we're breaking 900 at least. We're probably breaking 1,000 for the Pokedex number, and just there are so many different characters, and some of them are going to be really good offensively, some of them are going to be really good defensively, some of them are going to be really good supports. And I think there's going to be a little bit of in between. And while Dynamax does allow that role pushing, like we can make anything offensive, I don't think Tera typing will mean that support Pokemon can suddenly go aggro. I don't think we're going to see as much of that. This, of course, is all speculation based on what we already have and what has already happened. If you've seen me on Twitter or in Discord say anything about Pokemon, like I'm very much of the camp that, like, we don't need to borrow anxieties from the future. Like, we don't need to look at Tera types and be like, this is going to be a disaster because X. We just don't need to go there. I think it's much more valuable and fun and healthy to say, hey, this could be really fun because of X. I think people, those opinions put the views on YouTube's Bowerdead. Why Scarlet and Violet will be ruined? Get out of here. No. I think they're bad takes. There are so many people out there who really, they underestimate the ability of Pokemon to make fun games. And it's super weird. I think those are my two. You remember when Santacos asked for 2 cents and I gave him like a whole $50? I am a Pokemon fan, but I do nothing but flame Pokemon. I see too much of that. There's almost no chance that Scarlet and Violet is anything other than a really fun game. I'm going to keep my optimism on this side of the timeline. And then, Auto Battle! Oh, Santacos, yes! Auto Battle is cool. Auto Battle is really cool. I think that Auto Battle will be something that makes the single-player campaign feel tighter, feel more snappy and fast-paced. And also, I really like that the raid battles, because raid battles are an amazing feature. It's so cool. Raid battles are awesome. And the fact that they're bringing it back for Scarlet and Violet, and they're making it real time, that's going to be cool. No wait in raid battle. Like, that's chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Like, that's absolutely going to be so cool. Because, like, raiding is super fun, but there's so much overhead and dead time and waiting. Like, just imagine if we had Dynamax Adventures, but did it all in like, the real-time format. Santaka is about to convince me to put out my most controversial YouTube video ever. I love your takes on this, man. I think maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it.